Hello everyone, this is Ashley presenting for Group 3's Info 247 final project. For our project, we constructed a classical and alphabetical thesaurus focusing on Netflix originals for kids. There were a total of 5 phases for the thesaurus construction. Phase 1 for domain analysis, where we researched our domain and users. Phase 2 for term extraction, where we gathered our terms. Phase 3 for facet analysis, where we regrouped the terms into our facets. Phase 4 for relationship analysis, where we studied the relationships between the terms. And Phase 5 for the final term selection, where we narrowed down and edited our term list. To give a bit of context, Netflix is the most popular TV and movie streaming platform in the world with over 208 million paid subscribers. Although it is the most used and favored streaming platform, a majority of users find it difficult to navigate. One subset of these users are parents, teachers, or childcare workers looking for age-appropriate shows and movies for their children. As such, we wanted to focus on Netflix original kids series, as these are Netflix's own kid-approved series, so it will be less likely to be removed from the platform, and are supposedly catered to kids of ages of about 0 to 12. Our purpose of our thesaurus was to improve the indexing, search, and discoverability of Netflix original kids series by providing a controlled vocabulary that indexers and viewers can use to properly describe and locate shows on the platform. For the domain analysis, we used a user-centered approach in order to understand the users and their information needs. Each member focused on a different topic about our domain by reading research such as academic sources, online reviews, and more. These topics included kids and educators, genre and ratings, parent choices, Netflix's perspective, and indexers. We shared these findings together, and they helped us understand our user base and informed our term extraction process. Speaking of term extraction, each member took on 10 to 12 shows that we found on a list of Netflix original kids series on What's on Netflix. There were a total of 57 series, and each person watched one episode or a snippet of each of their shows and pulled terms from the description and information of the show and what they watched. We also pulled terms from the research from the domain analysis. At the end of term extraction, together we pulled about 824 terms for the shows and research. After pulling terms, we moved on to Phase 3 of the project of narrowing down the terms. Molly removed any duplicate terms we had and grouped the remaining ones into concepts and subjects such as language, genre, subject themes, rating, prominent characters, production companies, and more. By looking at these groupings, we were able to narrow down to 3 facets that encompassed the many concepts and fringe areas within each facet. Later, we also slightly changed the terminology of the facets, like the Netflix distinctions, so as to not repeat the facet name with a term name. We also removed any repetitive terms, specific terms that the users might not know or use, and any other terms that wouldn't be helpful to them. Our 3 facets were narrowed down to Netflix distinctions, subjects, and characteristics. Netflix distinctions included terms such as formats, genres, ratings as predetermined by Netflix. Subjects included terms pertaining to activities, characters, and places of the show or series, and characteristics were predominant themes and concepts. Using the facets, we then analyzed the relationships between our terms and facets in accordance with the ANSI-NISO rules. I'll discuss those in a minute, but we used conventions to showcase the many relationships between our terms. For instance, we use use for to indicate preferred and non-preferred terms, BT-NT for broader and narrower terms, RT for related terms, and SN for scope notes that define and clarify the semantic boundaries of a concept. A few other ANSI-NISO rules that we followed were indicated here, such as the following correct abbreviations and punctuation, conventions that I just mentioned, concept and term selection, and filing rules. Last, we had the final term selection. As stated, we started with over 800 terms, and by grouping the terms into facets, eliminating the duplicates and redundancies, we were able to narrow down to about 400 plus terms. After that, by analyzing the relationships between the terms, we removed any terms that didn't fit into the facets or relationships, added in non and preferred terms, and we were able to bring the list down to about 150 terms. We continued to do some fine-tuning, apply scope notes and other ANSI/NISO rules, and eventually brought it down to our final term count, which I will cover momentarily. For now, here's a sample of our thesaurus. As you can see, we used the coding on the classified index to code and show the relationship between the classified and alphabetical thesaurus, so indexers could find the terms on both thesaurus easily. You can see the use of ANSI/NISO conventions, such as action-adventure being the narrower term for the BT genres, and vice versa if you were to look up genres on the alphabetical thesaurus. To conclude, we had a total number of 121 terms. Of those 121 terms, 106 were preferred terms and 15 were non-preferred terms. Lastly, here's a list of some of the references we used. A full list of references, processes, and thesauri will all be included in the final paper of the project. Thank you for your time. We hope you enjoyed our thesauri and that they would be useful for indexers and adults alike who are looking for the perfect Netflix series for their child.